Well, good morning. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. How are you all today? I want to talk today about open carry versus concealed carry, kind of responding to a video that I saw John Lovell make. I made some good points in that, so I want to cover that. Also, I watched one by Masad Ayub, with whom I disagree on many things. I'll just put that right up front. And if we get around to him, we'll see what kind of time we have. But I really want to talk about the one that I saw John Lovell make, because he made some excellent points. And I think they're points that he has recently just considered, and I'm going to consider too, and share those with you and let us all know what you think. First, a couple of things. We're going to have a weenie weeding here. I just named it weenie weeding because if you've been with me before, you've heard me mention, or you might have seen the comments, occasionally we'll get some moron come on and say, I like your stuff, but your gulping of your coffee, I can't stand to watch it. So, because I don't like weenies hanging around, here we go, just for you. Did you hear that? It was a big loud gulp. You know, guy, he's already gone. But anybody who thinks they're on a preparedness channel and they think they're going to survive the end of the world, but somebody gulping coffee drives them nuts, wow. So we're going to do that. We have weeded the weenies. If you're still here, this is an opportunity for you to get over your weeniedom. So you're welcome. I'm happy to help. The next thing is that just like all of my videos, this one is brought to you by the Stonemont series, the complete guide to how to prepare for, survive, and rebuild after a complete collapse. My books, and they are a reversion, revival, the renewal, and appeal to heaven, the blessings of freedom, and hostages to fortune. They are available both on Amazon in paperback or Kindle, link down below, or through our website, stonemont.us. Stonemont.us. You can order them right through the website, and you can get autographed copies from me. So there you have that. And I just realized, yes, I am wearing one of the Stonemont, the new designs of the Stonemont t-shirts. These will be out ready for sale pretty soon. I'm still playing around with different designs and things that I like, and we'll get those up on the website here pretty soon. Okay, let me start talking about John Lovell's video about why, I think he entitled it "Why You Should Open Carry." That's a great catch. He's much, first off, he's much better at videos than I am. Okay, he has really built that channel. I don't watch him a lot. Not that I don't like him. I think he's great. Seems like a really likable guy, very nice guy, very intelligent guy. John, if you see this, give me a call. When you're in Kansas City, I'll buy you barbecue, or when I come through Georgia, you can buy me something. But I just don't get a chance. I don't watch many channels. I just thought that this would be interesting to watch, because Lovell is a thoughtful guy. He's a very intelligent guy, and I was interested to see what his video was going to be about when he says why you should open carry. So realize that I come from a different perspective than many. I've carried a gun. I don't carry open, but I've carried a gun for 48 years. I've told you that before. I was in law enforcement and learned a great number of things while active law enforcement, both on the streets in uniform, and then plain clothes, and then fugitive apprehension, and then undercover narcotics and organized crime. So I have a wide basis of experience from which I get my information, or my thoughts and my opinions. So that's where I'm coming from. And if we get around to Ayub, I will discuss the importance of that a little bit more. But Lovell makes this point. He makes these following points, and I'm going to address each one. You all consider them. Let us know what you think. And by the way, his new format, he's got like 3 other guys on with him in the office, and they're kind of doing a back and forth. Man, his channel is really something. It is nice, and I like those guys going back and forth with their thoughts, and there's some smart guys too. So he's going to make the case, and I will see these. First off, I'm going to say, and I agree with him 100% in that open carry is tactically inferior to concealed carry. 100%. I don't carry open. I just because I don't like people to know what I have. Playing poker. I don't let the world see my hand. So that's where I'm coming from. I don't know that I will ever open carry. I might if I'm in situations that as his points that he brings out might apply. We'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so the first thing that he says, it sends a message to the general public that we are a country built on firearms ownership. And I think that's important. I think that was brilliant, that it's a part of our culture. Okay. Now realize, here's a guy who comes from a standpoint, and being a trainer and all that, he was military, and then I think the way he makes most of his living, I don't know, he's got such a great channel, maybe he makes it off his channel, but he's a trainer. And so for him to take these stances, or not necessarily, I won't say take the stance, but make the points. Okay, I think it's important. So that's exactly right. It does send a message to the general public that we are a country built on firearms, and that it is a part of our culture. And I think that people forget that, because we are so separated from the time when, if you will see on this shirt, matter of fact, I'll take a short break here to show you. The things that you can see on that shirt are the crossed axes, the book in the middle, which is the Bible, and crossed rifles. This country, and Stonemont, as in my books we talk about, was based on the axe, the rifle, and the Bible. The belief in God, the axes represent the building of the country, the cutting down of the trees, and the building, and then the rifle to sustain us and to protect us. So yes, we are a culture that was not built on the credit card or Amazon delivery. We were built on guns. They allowed us our ancestors to provide for their food, for their sustenance, and to defend themselves, to protect themselves. It was very important. That's what brought about the safe world in which people live today and think that they don't need to protect themselves. But they're wrong, of course. And one of his guys on there made a very good statement. I don't know his guys' names or anything like that, but he made a good statement, and all those guys were smart. I put down his sidekick, said it lets people see guns in a positive light, not just negative. I think that's true. When the vast majority of people, they don't see guns. Let me say not the vast majority of people, because arguably the majority of people do have guns, but those who are opposed to guns don't see guns very much, and when they do, they only see them in a negative light. They see them on the news. They see them as the weapons that were used to kill people, for the school shootings, for the mayhem in every major city in this country every night. It's not just Chicago, but every city. And they think that the gun is the problem. And that's because that's the only place they ever see the guns. And so, like his sidekick says, it lets people see guns in a positive light, not just a negative. When they go to the store and they see somebody who is obviously well put together, respectful, a responsible citizen, pushing his shopping cart, picking up the milk or the butter or the bread, or at Home Depot, and he's wearing a gun, it all of a sudden associates the gun with responsible citizenship. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah, it does. And his sidekick went on to say, and I don't mean, I don't say sidekick disparagingly. This was just, it was the note that I made to myself, meaning one of his other guys. He says, it's not so much a gun I want to hide. when he's talking about does he want to carry concealed or does he want to carry openly, he says it's not so much a gun I want to hide as it is a conviction I want to show. Very interesting. So, and I think that could be important if you come to the conclusion that this is something that you would want to do, to show your conviction that the Second Amendment is one of the foundational stones of our country, and the importance of firearms in that, in the protection of our nation, and the idea that each citizen is responsible for their own safety and security and for those around them. I'm going to be talking about this probably just on the Patreon channel when I get into my kill proofing class description. But that every person has that personal responsibility for their own safety and self-protection. I think it sends a great message. He says people who don't know about guns now see. Let's see. Oh yeah. So this is Lovell again talking. He says people who don't know much about guns now, if people open carried more, they would see how prevalent guns are in our society, and then they are forced to deal with this. And what he means by that, not like you're shaking them and saying I'm going to force you to see my gun and all that. That if more and more people open carried, then the people who are afraid of guns, anti-guns, right now they see the gun culture, those who carry, as a very small minority. In which case, why aren't we protected, right? Yeah. They see us as a very small minority that are wackos, dangerous, the root of all evil, things like that. But when he talks about they're forced to deal with this, what he means is if there were loads of people open carrying and they were all going about their daily lives, helping their kids, taking their kids for a walk, grocery shopping, going to the Little League games, all of that, then they would be forced to acknowledge, man, this country is full of guns, full of people carrying guns who are not using them improperly, who are not victimizing people. And then they would see that the difference is the problem is not the gun but the person. Okay, and that these people out the normal gun carrier is not the person doing drive-bys, is not the person robbing gas stations, is not the person shooting up schools. As a matter of fact, they're the ones who would probably step forward and defend other people when those things go on. So that's what I think Lovell was talking about. They're forced to deal with this. They are forced to deal with this foreign thought, this foreign idea, foreign to them, that, oh my gosh, people who carry guns are normal people, and responsible people, and good citizens, and protectors. Okay, very good like that. I think one of the first questions that they asked, I think Lovell asked these guys, so what's the first thing you think if you see somebody open carrying? And pretty much they all agreed. I see, there's a brother, there's somebody who is willing to stand up if things go sideways, and they will be an ally. They will be there. They're pretty much expressing that hey, if there's trouble, I'm here, ready, willing, and able to address that trouble, and so they feel safer. And that would really be the ultimate result of more people open carrying, that society as a whole would develop this idea, there's people with guns, I'm safer because of all these people with guns. See? And I think that's exactly right. As a second, he says it's a good Second Amendment conversation starter. That's true. Now later on, he talks about the fact that he doesn't want to be the one getting into that conversation, but he's happy to have other people do it, right? But it is a good Second Amendment conversation starter. People are more interested than you think in guns. More people who don't have guns are receptive to guns if they're approached properly. And if they start seeing more, and if they just see, a gun on somebody's belt, along with their their phone case, and those pieces, if your pliers case, whatever, if they start seeing it as a normal part of society, it will help them. It could be a conversation starter, and most people aren't going to be that rude to say, "Why do you have a gun?" Unless they're a real moron, some lib will. "Why do you have a gun? I can't believe you're carrying a gun in front of my children." And you can say, "Well, ma'am, if somebody comes in here and tries to hurt your children, guess who's going to be the one to try to save them? Is it going to be you with your indignation, or is it going to be me with my gun?" Whatever. But it is something that if you carry openly, it's kind of like wearing a uniform. Okay. It's kind of like wearing something with your company name on it. You realize that you are a representative of what they are seeing. They are seeing you as a representative of whatever it is they see you as representing. Okay, and so it should always be in the back of your mind, and it gives you an opportunity. How about that? Boy Scouts help the old lady across the street. If you're carrying, it gives you all sorts of opportunities to go out of your way, and you might do this anyway. Congratulations, good for you. But to help people, and then people will say, "Oh gosh, that guy was really helping that person. How nice of him." Or you give $1 to the guy that asked you for $1. I know that there's different feelings about that. People say, "Wow, that guy really helped that person. That guy was wearing a gun. He was out there helping people." Okay. Just saying, hey, we got in any war, you got to win the hearts and minds. And then he says, it sends a message to bad guys that there are protectors ready to stand against them. Yeah, I think that's true. Bad guys aren't consciously thinking about this, except to the extent that we know that the vast majority, up in the 90% of all mass shootings are in no gun zones. So they do target those areas, and for the most part, those bad guys who might come out into in the cities, they're long gone. They're just shooting each other all the time. That's just it had become the city culture. So we're not talking about them. We're talking about out in the world, out in the suburbs or out in rural areas where more people do carry openly. But when you come out, there are a number of robberies out here, and they're usually people who have come out from the cities and robbed places because they think that people in the suburbs aren't armed. And if they saw more people, walking around with a gun, they might say, "Wait, I don't think I'll do this. I think I'll go somewhere else." Now, this also addresses a so-called con that when they make it, I'm going to argue against what they're saying. So those are the main points that he brought up, and I think that they're all good points. I do. And while I may not do it, I might. There might be situations in the future that I might open carry for these reasons. But it's just I've been so. It's from my undercover days, probably also. I just don't like to show what I have. So, I think all these things are good. Maybe I should participate in helping this along. We'll see. We will see. Okay. Here now the arguments against it. It makes you a target. Okay. Now here's one that I'm going to take issue with. Say if you go into a say you're in a store, and you're in a convenience store and somebody comes in to rob it and you're carrying openly. They say you're going to be the first one that they shoot. Here's where, coming from the experience of working and living in these areas, gives me a unique opportunity to address this, okay? To where maybe others don't. Any other city cop will tell you the same thing. When somebody goes in to rob a place, they are not first going around and checking everybody to see if anybody is open carrying. Okay? They're not. They're thinking about one thing. First off, the prisons aren't full of Einsteins. Okay, these people are thinking at a very reptilian level. They're going in to get money. They're going in either to shoot somebody or to get money or both. And they are not checking to see, is anybody open carrying in this situation? Now, this is different. You can say, well, then why would it cut down on crime if more people carry? Because if it was common throughout an area or throughout society, and the criminal element understood, hey, a lot of people are carrying guns, it'd back them down. I'll guarantee, because I know criminals. I know how they think. Okay, that's how they think. So is it going to necessarily make you a target in a robbery? No, it's not, because they're just not doing that. Okay, this isn't the movies. Secondly, an unarmed opportunist might take your gun to commit a crime. Here's where I'm going to disagree with, and what he's talking about there. Let me shut this for just a second. Just had a lawn care truck go by. Okay, now what he's meaning here, an unarmed opportunist might try to take your gun to commit a crime. If I have time, I'm going to get over to something that Ayub said about that too, that I totally disagree with. What he's referring to here is that somebody is not armed themselves, sees someone carrying a gun, and then decides, I will go take that guy's gun and use that gun to commit a crime, get to rob this place, to whatever. And he says that's happened many times. I've never heard of that. Now, Ayub mentioned something over here that he says that if you go to somebody's website, you can see that it's happened 30 times. Well, I don't know what that means, and I couldn't find it, and I don't know, 30 times across the country in how many years, and if you come down to it, the incidence of that is going to be minuscule, because I worked and have lived in a big city for all my life. I have never heard of that. Okay, now there can be a case where somebody gets in a scuffle, and somebody carrying, whether open or not, loses their gun, and the gun is used against them or somebody else. Yeah, that does happen. But as far as being an unarmed opportunist saying, there's somebody with a gun, I think I'm going to go take their gun and commit a crime here and rob this place, that doesn't happen. I mean, I won't say it doesn't happen. I've never heard of it happening, and like I say, my experience is very wide and very deep and very over many years. Never heard that happen. They will. He says one of his main concerns is that if somebody calls in and calls the police and says there's a man with a gun here, then the police are going to respond, and then you're the guy with the gun, and it's a dangerous situation. I've also not been. And he makes a distinction, the difference between, rural areas. He says in his area, I guess he lives in Georgia, the guys that just show up and say, cool, what kind of gun is it? Cool, good, He said it'd be different in a city. No, not really. Remember, I was a city cop, and you were responding. But here's the thing. I mean, when you arrive, it's not like you're arriving as an unthinking, automaton. You are seeing what's going on. You're seeing everybody in there. You're checking off everybody. You're identifying, where everybody looks to you on the immediate threat scale, right? Now, not everybody always fits into exactly where they appear at the beginning, but the more experience you have, the closer you get. Okay, and when you arrive on, it says somebody's got a gun. You don't go in there with your guns. Everybody on the floor. And then you see the guy with the gun, and you start screaming at him, right? Give me your gun. Excuse me, it's allergy season. Another weenie weeding here. And if you don't know what I meant by that, go back and rewind and go to the beginning. So that's just not how it happens. The cop's going to go in, he's going to look around, he's going to be careful, okay? He's going to be ready. Now, in my day, and anymore they don't do this so much. In my day, I would probably have my gun unsnapped. Yeah, we used snap holsters back then. And maybe even have my hand on the butt of my gun. Maybe not. You walk in there. If nobody's pointing a gun at you, if nobody's shooting, you're not just going to start screaming and pointing your gun at everybody. Who's got the gun? Who's got? It just doesn't happen that way. Even in the city, okay? Because city cops are smart. City cops deal with this stuff all the time. Okay. Here's another thing: a rural cop, somebody in a rural area, a deputy sheriff, a highway patrol, a small town marshal, he might deal with something like once, every couple of years or a couple of times a year. City cops are dealing with this stuff every stinking day. So experience brings knowledge and ability. So that's really something that I would disagree with. And he says it kind of socially distances you from people. He says it'll put people off and it becomes all about the gun. Well, I think that John is more gregarious than I am. He seems like a much friendlier guy than I do. I mean, I'm sure that if we got together, I'd have a great time with him, Like I say, John, give me a call. Seems like a really good guy. So he probably likes that being able to talk to people and all that. I don't really care. The people that I will talk to are people that I know. If somebody's going to get their, jammies in a snit over it, I also don't care. So that doesn't affect me. But he says that because of all these things, because it opens up the conversations and shows all this, he says he would like other people to carry so that they can do these things. And he was kind of kidding, but I think he was what we call kidding on the square. I think he was serious, but doing it in a nice way. He says he would like other people to open carry for all these reasons, but he doesn't want to. He wants to remain tactical because he doesn't want to get in all the conversations. I think all that is true. To sum up what I've said about addressing John Lovell's, I think his points are great. I think all of them are valid, and I think that there can be great results from more people open carrying. I will probably not. Okay, I will probably keep my guns hidden unless I'm in a situation. I don't know. We'll see. If I ever open carry, I'll let you all know about it. Let me see how I'm doing on time here. Okay. Ayub, I don't really have a lot of time to spend on Ayub. First off, I have a lot of disagreement with Massad Ayub. I know that he is the big gun guy, but understand this. He's a gun writer, and although I know that he was a competition shooter, he didn't make his living with a gun, except in competition. I don't know if he was a professional or not. That's not the same. That's not on the streets, okay? I know that he says he was a cop. He was a reserve, okay? Big difference. Every department has reserves. They usually ride around with a real cop, or occasionally we would have some guys who had been around so long or had been, regular officers and then decided to, go do something else and stay on the reserves. They were able to write a district by themselves very, very seldom. And, guys who... Everybody who was a reserve loves to talk about when he was a cop. They aren't cops. They don't have the same experience. They don't have the same responsibility. They don't have the same things going through their mind. And they're always the one telling the stories and acting like they were, Most guys who were real, they don't sit around talking like these guys do, catchphrases like, when I pinned on the badge, or I never cleared leather. Guys who really they don't talk like that. Ayub says one thing. He says he doesn't think we have the right to alarm people. Where does that come from? And also, he made the mistake. And if I do another one, I'll address Ayub a little bit more. But he confused at the very beginning of his video on this, he confused open carry with carrying. Okay, that is a big problem, and that is the mark of somebody who, you know, he is a gun academic. He studies figures, he studies numbers, he studies things like this. That's where he gets his information, and then he passes it on. And I know he was an expert witness. I know all that, guys. So any IU bites out there, don't get your panties in a twist. But this different from learning from a book and then trying to pass that information on, because this is the kind of mistakes that they make, confusing carrying with open carry. Okay, and they don't come from experience. And I'll be real honest, that makes their advice a little light. So anyway, open carry or not, John Lovell did a great job covering that stuff. I might start watching him more when I get a chance, because I really enjoyed watching this. And you make your own decision. You know, all of those points are for open carrying are good. Some for the only pro I see for concealed carry is tactical, but I think that at least for me, outweighs the pros for open. But it's up to you. So let me know what you think in the comments. Remember, this is, and all of my videos are brought to you by the Stonemont series, my series of books. They are available on Amazon, either through, on Amazon in paperback or Kindle, or directly from me through our website, Stonemont. Do you see that? Do you see it? Stonemont.us, to where you can order them directly from me and get them autographed and all that kind of stuff. So you'll love them. You really will love them. If you haven't gotten them, you need to start. There are people who say they have just completed their 5th time reading through the whole series, and they say they're still learning stuff about how to prepare for, how to survive, and how to rebuild after a complete collapse. So become a Stonemonter. Join us over on the Patreon channel. I'm going to do one over there in a minute. About what am I doing over there? Oh yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to be doing something over on Patreon in a minute that you on Patreon will get to see. If you're not with us, the link is down below. It's only $1 a month. Come on over and join us on Patreon. So you all have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.